All right, so Vito Rock here. So Vito in that refers to Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose here. One of the centerpieces of our deck. Whenever you gain life, an opponent loses that much life, can pay 5 to give your creature's life link till end of turn. So he's kind of self-enabling in a way when you have a board. So we've got Wildgrowth Walker along with Explorer creatures here, which not only does Wildgrowth Walker let Vito drain your opponent out for 3 every time it triggers, but all of these cards and Scavenging Ooze give us reasonable sized bodies to just activate Vito and attack in, so that way we can threaten to basically deal damage to our opponents, even through their blockers. We got Thragtusk here at the top end of our curve, which is excellent with Vito. Basically does a Siege Rhino impersonation of sorts. And then we've got Revenge Revival here that we actually have a very small white splash for the back half of this card. So Revenge says double your life total. Target opponent loses half their life rounded up. So when you double your life total, by the rules of Magic, that counts as gaining life. So if you have Vito out and say you and your opponent are both at 20, Revenge Revival will kill your opponent. So when you cast Revenge with Vito out, if you have high enough life compared to your opponent, you're frequently going to kill them, because Revenge takes half their life away, and then Vito also does damage to them equal to your life total what it was, because you gained that much life when it doubled up. We've been talking a little bit about the potential leaks from Amonkhet Remastered, and Thoughtseize was on the list. So obviously, if Thoughtseize gets printed into Historic, that's going to be a card that easily replaces Agonizing Remorse in the main deck. I think if we gain Thoughtseize, you probably put 4 Thoughtseize over Remorse in the main, and then swap Duress for Agonizing Remorse in the sideboard. I think would be the easy exchange. Obviously, they haven't confirmed that yet, so we'll get full spoilers. I believe the 10th, 11th, and 12th, or the 10th, 11th, and 12th next week. They're set releasing on the 13th, but that would be my thought if we get Thoughtseized. A Baker put the tier 2 towards Rakdos Pyromancer. Sounds excellent. I'll get that bumped up after we're done today. I'll just do it now, actually. Thoughtseize also basically pushes Thought Erasure out of any deck. So, while I agree that Thoughtseize, from a resource efficiency standpoint, is obviously much better than Agonizing Remorse and Thought Erasure, there are a number of decks, as we know in Modern, that are interested in playing more than 4 discard spells, right? So while your first 4 will almost assuredly be Thoughtseize, like, in Pioneer, for example, we've played Agonizing Remorse and Thought Erasure at discard spells like 5, 6, 7, and sometimes even 8 past that. Do you think adding Thoughtseize... I think Thoughtseize is a net negative to most formats that it comes in. I greatly prefer 2-mana discard, but this format is guaranteed to get Thoughtseize at some point, even if we don't get Thoughtseize with... Even if we don't get Thoughtseize with the Amonkhet Remastered, it's going to come with a later set when we eventually get Pioneer Masters. I think Thoughtseize is responsible for largely creating uninteresting and bad gameplay patterns. I think telling people they're not allowed to cast their spells sucks, but it is what it is. Every non-standard format in Magic is a Thoughtseize format. That's just how it works. It's reality. So, Wildgrowth Walker is interesting here. There might be some value to keeping this, because next turn I can theoretically go Wildgrowth plus Agonizing Remorse, which I don't hate. And it makes any other Explorer creatures I draw better. A similar vein, Pact of Negation. I think saying Pact of Negation is a similar vein to Thoughtseize does an incredible disservice to, like, the power level of Thoughtseize and what Pact of Negation looks like. Allendale, thank you for the 15 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I'm just taking Mayhem Devil here. Thanks for the 10 months. SJ, I appreciate that. Welcome back. The Machine with the brand new tier 1 sub. Welcome to Oglandia. Thanks for the support. I think I'd rather keep Thragtusk here than Vito. Hey, thanks to the tier 2 engineer. I appreciate that. Welcome back. They draw 1 or 2 mana spell here to go with this? Sure. Man, that's good. So they get to Croxamy, take my Thragtusk, and then sack these to Priest and pick Gutterbones back up. Slammin'! Thank you for the sub-gifties. I appreciate that. Happy Blur's Day to you. Feels like we're probably dead at this point. Keeping this Wildgrowth Walker on top was probably wrong. Doing my best to at least cosplay Rise by Spiders and enjoy the discussions. Thank you, I appreciate it. What's our best draw here? Like Jadelight Ranger, probably. Scavenging Ooze also pretty good. How about a land? I suppose a land means I get to draw with my castle in addition to playing Wildgrowth Walker here. This is an Agonizing Remorse out matchup, I think, as that game just showed. I want as many of my cards to play to the board as possible. Yeah, if Wrath of God's really coming, that's really kind of annoying. That card honestly annoys me more than Thoughtseize. Yeah, at least like Shatter in the Sky can draw you a card though. Like when people, like I had someone on Twitter, they're like, is Wrath of God that much better than Shatter the Sky? And that's like saying, is Peak that much better, or is Divination that much better than Peak at the same mana cost? And it's just like, obviously the draw 2 is much better, right? Like getting 2 for 1 versus getting 1 for 1 is a big difference. Fuck me. Oh, lands. That's fine. I didn't want to play a 3-drop this turn anyways. Obviously, that's my fault. Still feels bad. I mean, I guess we were getting Supreme Verdict at some point anyways, right? Because Verdict's a card. I guess with that perspective in mind, I really don't mind. I guess I really don't mind Wrath of God coming if we were going to get Supreme Verdict at some point anyways. Like, that was guaranteed. It's a perspective I hadn't considered. think we're just Scavenging Oozing and eating their Croxa here. Yeah, I saw people, like, complaining about Scarab God, and, like, it's really just a good reminder that people don't understand the power level of cards is contextual to the format in which they're being played, right? Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, thank God, God bless that. What does this attack mean? This attack means Mayhem Devil, I think, so I'm going to say no blocks. Really? Just no fear. Okay, well, we've been played. Respect. So we're hoping to draw an untapped land next turn so we can go Walker into gain 12. Scavenging Ooze is like almost useless against this cat because they just have so much food. What's up, youngest son? What? Where did what go? Believe it or not, I'm not the one that lost the remote, so you should look around for it. I'd recommend shaking out the blankets. I also lost my remote. Where did I put it? Asking the real questions. Yep, back to 20. One card that I actually am, and this is, people have known me for a while, you'll probably be surprised to hear me say this, but I'm actually excited that it looks like a Collected Company was in the data dump that people farmed out. I think Collected Company will be a meaningful addition to Historic for sure. So this is like definitely Mayhem Double, right? Yeah, so they get to just kill my entire board here. You get to kill my Scavenging Ooze as well. So like bring this back, sack it, bring it back, sack it, sack it. Yeah, pretty sure Scavenging Ooze is dead. They said how you will obtain HA cards. They're granting us booster packs, chat. To strap my tinfoil hat on for a second, they probably just made Jumpstart not purchasable by booster packs, so that way they could look like benevolent gods when they gave us back their normal predatory card acquisition model. Just like, but guys, look, we gave you the booster packs back. Am I killing Devil or am I killing the ovens? Is it crazy to kill the ovens? Because, like, they're out of food at this point, right? Yeah, Runeterra content's not going anywhere anytime soon. Planning to do that daily for the foreseeable future. Really enjoy that game. Yeah, like, they have 3 more devils in their deck, right? And only 2 more ovens. God bless America, my country. 'Tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of the I sing. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, and another land. That's exciting. It's good stuff. Good stuff. How about a third land in a row? Ooh, okay, that'll be good. Should have shocked in the Temple Garden, obviously. Am I gonna have to chump block with the Wildgrowth Walker next turn? I think I am. Well, not chump block, but like block and then it'll die to Mayhem Devil triggers. Alright, so if I take 2, I go to 7. This does 3. They bring it back, it does 2. They sack it, it does 1. They bring it back, it does 1. That's 4, 5, 6. So I suppose if I don't block here, I die to a creature. So unfortunately, I think I have to do this. Just let my Wildgrowth Walker die to Mayhem Devil triggers, which means my Jadelight Ranger is less good next turn. I like how instead of making their client better and like giving you auto yield to trigger options, they're just like, nah, we'll ban Mayhem Devil, we'll ban Cat Oven instead. Oh, this is wrong. I should pulse this first, right? Because they're going to bring the cat back and kill it now. Or not. Maybe I'm supposed to kill the oven again here, because if I killed the oven, they wouldn't be able to block, and then I could give lifelink with, they wouldn't be able to block sack, and then I could give lifelink with Vito and gain my life back up. I miss when the Mayhem Devil decks were like really sweet and weren't just like this stupid bouncing cat back and forth. Oh, I guess they'd still have Woe Strider if I did that, right? Let's do this in case we draw a land to put into play tapped. Alright. Okay. I'm not dead yet. Also, I'd like to point out that, like, my opponent had 3 ovens in 20 cards this game, and we have 3 cages that have had 0 in 21 cards. Can you please just have a cage? Yeah, if the client was less garbage, Cat Oven wouldn't be a big deal. That's definitely true. If this client had some of the features that Magic the Gathering Online had, Cat Oven from a tedious perspective would be less fine, or would be more fine. No, I think the adventure mechanic is really well done. I think if you asked me to like rank my favorite Magic mechanics of all time, I feel like Adventure would be up there. For the people that are upset that Thoughtseize is getting printed into Historic, were you not aware that Thoughtseize was always coming to Historic? CJNJ, thanks for the 22 months. Historic is eventually going to be everything in Pioneer, plus some other stuff. Thoughtseize has always been in Pioneer. I mean, I was expecting Thoughtseize this fall at the latest. Like, it would definitely be in their Pioneer Master set. I think we're stabilizing with Thragtusk, chat. Squishy! Have a castle for your plot of Hoaglandian land. Thank you for the 4 entire years of support. Yeah, Black Castle looking excellent here. Half quarter, thanks for the 22 months. What are they going to put in Pioneer Masters? Just a bunch of cards that are staples, hopefully. DMS, thanks for the 30 months. Welcome back. Day late and $1 short, chat. It might still be enough to drag us across the finish line. Maybe, possibly. Yeah, Castle might continue dragging us kicking and screaming. All right. Yeah, this isn't really... Our deck's more aggressive than grindy. Historic's not a format that's really about grinding. Magic's pretty much about getting linear. Like like true mid-range decks are also like in a pretty bad spot. Like there's a reason why we're playing Revenge Revival as a combo kill in this deck, as opposed to something like Unburial Rites to generate value. They're dead next turn. Well, they can block and then sack the things they're blocking with. But they sacked all their stuff a turn ahead of time, so, you know, whatever. We'll take that, I guess. I'm happy with how we board him. Turn it back. That's actually kind of impressive for our deck, right? Like, our opponent peeled the oven right after we peeled 2 of them and, like, messed us up a little bit. And, like, Vito plus Thragtusk are able to drag us back into it. Sure. Your wife needs your phone for a raid. I'm sure she'll send a child to come get it shortly. I think we're just trophying this. This could be wrong. Like, if they're missing a land, I'm fixing their colors. Like, they could be missing a red source here. It's possible that Trophy just shouldn't be a card that's in my sideboard. Yeah. they would have been missing right here. They took my bait at least, chat. I binned the Scavenging Ooze, so I had another one in my hand. When do we get Abrupt Decay in Historic? Hopefully soon. Yeah, Decay would be a lot better. It's just exhausting. Yeah, if that trophy had been an Abrupt Decay, and maybe that trophy's wrong. I'm just supposed to, like, play my Ooze on 2. Alright, they get 2 food from that. Does anything in this format feel worse than 1 mana flame? It's such a huge feel bad. Just massive feel bad. Honestly, things like this, like, you know, talking about, like, trying to play mid-range decks. But yeah, like, this effect is so powerful. Because, like, especially in formats like Historic, in non-rotating formats, like, this basically kills every good card, right? So they're going to sack these other foods in response. Wait, is this gonna work? My Ooze is gonna be a 4/4 here, right? Okay, yeah. Oh, they're gonna sack the last food they get. Got it. Really need a Thragtusk. That's not a terrible pickup. Lets me Vito without having to pay life here. A cost-restricted active treason seems fine until you realize how many powerful creatures that cost 3 or less and how many ways. Yeah, exactly. And then, like, they printed, like, Phyrexian Tower into the format, too, right? And they're getting 2 foods here with this, so I have to discard this, and then they get to sack a food and kill my Jadelight Ranger. I think playing with Vito is playing to not lose, so I'm just going to go to 2 and hope to draw Thragtusk. Man, and, like, I couldn't keep the Jadelight Ranger, right? I guess I could have kept Jadelight if I would have chump blocked. I guess. Maybe they're out of stuff. Am I dead? Oh, I'm dead, right? I'm just dead on board. Yeah, it's like absurdly good against creature decks. And like obviously the trophy hurt us there. But like if they just like had a land and weren't getting screwed by magic, we also don't have a chance, so. There's just so many like must answer or you lose the game cards. And take their planeswalkers and leave them their sweepers. The rock in Magic the Gathering terms refers to green-black interactive mid-range decks. Or as I like to call them, probably unplayable. We've shoved a combo kill in here to like have something of a chance against the more... To have something of a chance against the more, like the ramp style decks in the format, but even then it's still a hard sell. Not they ban Cat. They only ban Cat in Standard. I don't know that I want to play out a second thing into their... Alright, well, sure. Flame Sweep for when your Deafening Clarions and Shadow of the Skies aren't enough. Yeah, I agree with that, X. Magic, the fire design philosophy in Magic has produced an incredible number of you need to answer this card or you need to answer this card within 1 to 2 turns or you lose the game. Yeah, like, I mean, like, and the Cat Oven deck is just such a phenomenal example of the answer or lose style things that happen, right? I'm gonna go ahead and eat their graveyard here because they're almost certainly a Search for Azcanta deck. The Cat Oven deck, like, you have to answer Mayhem Devil and you have to answer Priest, and they cost 2 and 3 mana. Yeah, that's true too, J-Ray. The fact that Runeterra has damage carryover from turn to turn helps you answer problematic things inside of combat too. Some Duress sounds nice. Wildgrowth Walker doesn't do much. Bring in a couple of trophies. Click submit. We could definitely use some creature lands. Could definitely use some creature lands. The leaked creature land from the set this fall looks great. I'm going to keep this hand because I think Castle Locthwain is one of our single best cards against these control decks. Have a fine 2-3 curve here as well that are going to get swept away, but like this can generate a lot of card advantage, which is good. Mutavault and Pioneer Masters. Who knows? We don't know anything about that set yet, Tintin Hammer. John Avon's a good non-terrible person to reference when it comes to drawing nice lands. See if we get Clarion Tier or not. Would we likely play Shambling Vent over Godless Shrine in this deck? Yeah, definitely. You'd probably cut, like, Memorial to Folly, too, because I think creature lands are just, like, better than slower utility lands like this. Do you have confirmation that Pioneer Masters is... Yeah, we do, Avocado. They've talked about it a couple of times in their updates. There will be a Pioneer Masters set printed into Arena that explicitly adds a number of format staples to the format. I think I'm just attacking this and playing Thragtusk here. Yeah, it's supposed to happen before the end of the year. We're supposed to be getting Thoughtseize in the next set in Amonkhet Remastered, based on the data mined leaks. Yeah, Thragtusk is good against aggro because it gains you life, and it's decent against control decks because it generates value by leaving another body in play. And soon, it won't even get to draw us a card when they have a sweeper, because Wrath of God is coming in the new set. Hey, Jareth Goblin, thank you for the 3/4 of a year. I appreciate the tier 2. Welcome back. I think I'm still just attacking the Planeswalkers here. Speaking of end of year, who's ready for Bobo? Yep. Sure, that's definitely... Magic Arena on mobile's definitely a thing that's going to happen. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for Amonkhet Remastered. So Red Black Pyromancer got back into the queue, but I'm gonna wait to play it until we get Amonkhet Remastered, so we can play Thoughtseize in it. So we attack before we Maelstrom Pulse, so this way my opponent has to decide how they're blocking before they know they're losing Ugin. Snags Oven on 1. Look at Whiskey Dingo, assuming they're lucky enough to win the die roll. All Magic's easy if you always win the die roll. There's been a bunch of people that have posted success in this format with Grixis so far. Kisis is not banned in this format. They banned Teferi in this format, which made Kisis worse.
Open the mind, you must first open the heart.
I think Gen Dino is great. It's one of the decks that's in the high whatever section of the website. High potential, that's the word. High potential. I think Dinos was fine even when Teferi was legal. The deck has very good linear draws, which is the key to being successful in Magic. Have good linear draws. I mean, this format, again, like, I feel like so many people just haven't been paying attention. People are, like, lamenting that Thoughtseize is coming. It's like, like, we've known Thoughtseize was coming to Historic for months. We didn't have an exact timeline, but it was always going to be a Thoughtseize format. Every format of Magic that is not standard is a Thoughtseize format. If you don't like discard spells, I'd recommend playing a different game. Because basically every other card game that exists doesn't put discard spells into their game. And there's a reason for that. This was an incredible draw. Get to stop the last chapter on their Conqueror's Death. Woof. Alright, well, I mean, at least we're not drawing through those, huh? Glass half full. You get to draw those for free. Yeah, I was expecting Thoughtseize and Pioneer Masters at the end of the year. The fact that we're getting it now is just like, fine, sure. Our divination gave us a 2-1, yep. Shock more in for more exiling. I mean, whatever, right? I mean, like, our opponent's got these two Planeswalkers in play, but this one doesn't really do much. I guess we could theoretically get milled out by this. But, like, with our Castle Locthwain in play, I think we're actually a little bit ahead at the moment. Not a ton, but a little bit.
Many paths lie before me.
Do you still play Modern Elves? No, Elves died when they printed Modern Horizons. They put Lava Dart into the format, and they put Plague Engineer into Modern. That being said, with Collected Company likely coming in Amonkhet Remastered, and we've got Elvish Archdruid and Historic, Elves and Historic is likely going to be a pretty real aggro deck. Really miss Collected Company. It's going to be a sweet addition. In my opinion, discard spells, like, in my opinion, good game design, cards that are good game design, generate interesting, meaningful decisions for both players. And discard spells explicitly don't do that. Was that a good draw? So if they brick here, we could go Vito into Revenge. Alright, cast Splinter Twin. This is why we put Splinter Twin in our mid-range deck, chat, because mid-range as an archetype is really rough, and you need an I win button. We tried Elves in Historic. I don't think Elves in Historic is very good. I don't think it currently has the tools to beat sweeper decks. Sha. Yeah, collected Company and those sweeper decks losing Teferi will give Elves a lot more play against those decks. So again, that's the combo. If you have Vito Thorn Rose in play and you cast Revenge, they die, generally speaking. Obviously, if their life total is really high or your life total is really low, you don't always kill them with it. But especially in these control matchups, it generally kills them. So again, Thorn says when you gain life, they lose life, and Revenge doubles your life total and halves theirs. Yeah, this is great. Thought sees you, spell. Again, the only white spell in my deck is the 6 mana Revenge spell. So we don't need white sources. We are just a green-black deck with a splash for that 6 mana white card. Goblins is hard game 1. Non-goblins aggro tends to be decent for you because of the life gain that you have. At least we're getting rip. I mean, I have Grafdigger's Cage. Like, Grafdigger's Cage is arguably better against that deck because Grafdigger's Cage also shuts off... Grafdigger's Cage also shuts off their Citadel. Rest in Peace does not stop Mayhem Devil from triggering. Mayhem Devil is not a dice trigger, it's a sacrifice trigger. Sure, I'm not saying it's impossible, Najo Mage. This is Magic. It has an incredible amount of variance in it. I'm just saying, on average, the current elf decks in this format are bad against the decks playing sweepers. So, bad against does not mean 0% by any means. It means just that. It means, on average, you're going to lose more than you win. They draw another sweeper here. Just an Ashiok, sure. Wonder if they're gonna mill our top card since they know we have an Agonizing Remorse coming. Any decks we're excited about with Amonkhet Remastered dropping? Approach the Second Sun is usually a sweet combo control deck. Nailed it. Easy game, chat. Easy game. I'm supposed to hold this till after they sweep these. Heroic Intervention's nice now that Teferi's gone. So, cards like Heroic Intervention are often a trap in my experience. So cards like Heroic Intervention tend to not be great because the turns in which you lose to sweepers, generally speaking, you don't have the ability to hold mana up. I'm going to make them draw a sweeper here. If they don't draw a sweeper, they die to Vito's activation next turn. I'm going to eat the Teferi out of their bin. Alright, cast Splinter Twin. Okay. Oops. Oops. Whoopsie pupsie. Like, this is the type of stuff you have to do to really make mid-range playable in Magic these days. You just, like, you gotta put Splinter Twin in your deck, basically. Yeah, and I mean, like, all things considered, like, this combo's pretty fair. Heroic's been a solid sideboard card in your flash deck, sure, but, like, think about what you're saying there. So Heroic Intervention is good in your deck that always wants to hold mana up and never wants to tap out. What I'm talking, you're actually being there. What I am referring to is Heroic Intervention is bad in aggressive decks that are playing to the board early and frequently tapping out because they're playing to the board. So again, piping up and being like, well, Jeff, there's this corner case where this card you're saying that's often bad is actually fine. Sure, I believe you, but that's like pretty typical Magic player. I gotcha. I put the streamer in a corner and I found the case. Why do you use Splinter Twin to refer to any 2-card I win combo? Aren't there any other ones like that? Not really. Not any that are as, like, it was well known as Splinter Twin. White. He's got 2 thumbs and is ready to shatter the sky. Aye. Whew, we get to live, chat. We get to live. We get to live. And now we're gonna have a really aggressive start, right? We get to Jadelight next turn, which is gonna drain them for 6. If we find some lands, we get to get curve into Thragtusk, which drains them for 5 more. Sure. Yeah, that too. What if you just countered the sweepers in your flash deck? Alright, double lightning helix you. Attack you for 4 more. Yeah, the one thing that really impressed me with this deck, like, obviously, the combo killing our opponent twice last game was excellent. Or last match was excellent. But, like, the fair Vito draws with this deck really surprised me last time we played it. I've seen people play Vito in the life gain aggressive decks. I've not personally, but I've seen others do it. Alright. That's unfortunate that they took Vito, because we have another Helix here otherwise. Tradesies. They have enough to escape Uro here. Maybe I'm supposed to Scavenging Ooze there. I was excited that we drew something that let us curve, but yeah, I think I made a mistake and I should have Scavenging Ooze there. And just prevented the Uro from happening. Uro and Coco seems pretty decent. So someone else said that earlier, and I don't understand the logic there. So, like, if you're playing Collected Company, it means that you have a lot of creatures in your deck to hit with Collected Company consistently. But if your deck is full of creatures, it's probably pretty bad at getting cards in its graveyard to escape Uro. So can you explain to me why Uro's good with Collected Company? Aside from it's a 3-mana creature that you could legally hit with it. Because you're right, from like a super reductionist point of view, like derp derp, card's good, derp derp hits with the other card, but like, again, when you sit down and like actually think about things, it's like, oh, this doesn't actually play out how it's useful to play out. Yeah, I definitely messed this game up. If I would have Scavenging Ooze to deal with the Uro on the previous turn, I could have used that Maelstrom Pulse to deal with these Glass Caskets, and now these Blast Zone is going to just, like, destroy my 2-drops, then I'm probably going to have a hard time closing things out here afterwards. Because they're pretty likely to find a Field of the Dead with this Oracle of Moldiah. Wait. Oh, wait. That gets, wait. I wasn't thinking about that, but then... Okay, sure. Yeah, never mind. JK, I lied. And they know about this Jadelight Ranger, right? Listen, we take those here, chat. Beggars shan't be choosers. We take those here. Again, Vito just looking excellent as a tool to help us keep up with these ramp decks, helping us get under them appropriately. I think I'm on the click submit plan. Maybe I want Duresses over 2 of the Thragtusk. Thragtusk is kind of slow. Trim a Memorial. And we'll trim a Thragtusk and a land for 2 Duress on the draw. Let's do that. Yeah, there was a collected company deck with Steel Leaf and Regisaur that was very, very reasonable in Pioneer for a little bit. Yeah, this is fine, right? Yeah. Yeah, the Hooglandia tournament will be one of the first big historic events. Big-ish. I guess big could be subjective. I don't know how many people have. We have 40 people signed up currently. Okay, so let's Remorse before they can Uro. Yeah, I expect to hit 100 people again or so. Yeah, cut off for signups is the day of. Really need to draw a green source here. So we can exile the Uro. I think Burn will be more prominent with AHK Remastered. Yeah, very likely. You'll get things like Soulscar Mage and Hazoret and other tools like that. That'll be very good. Ramanap Runes will be a real card. So they find an untapped blue or green source. They get to escape Uro this turn. Have to draw a green source here, or we're dead. Feels Magic Man. Glorybringer is an Amonkhet, but that's not a card that really goes in mono red aggro. That's more of a mid-range tool, or control tool specifically. Yes, yeah, all the platforms are the same. The only thing you'll want to make sure on if you are looking to play the Hooglandia Open from an OS X system is make sure, just like on Windows, that your computer is capable of sharing your arena screen to Discord. And you can test that in the Hooglandia server or any Discord server at any time. It is a requirement for the Hooglandia Open that you're able to share your arena screen upon request, so we're able to provide coverage of the event. Until Wizards gives us a real spectator mode, that's going to remain a requirement to play in those tournaments. Yeah, 2 off plan, Greaseball. Goblins is probably like the one tribal deck that doesn't want to consider splashing for Coco. Do I have a coverage partner yet? Yeah, one of my buddies that used to travel to play Magic with us, who's in chat on occasionally, is gonna do coverage with me. His Twitch name is Bobbin Chase. You've probably seen him in the sub chat before. Scarab God, Field of the Dead. Sure. I mean, Ramp will be good alongside Scarab God for sure. What happened to my other buddy? Matt's pretty off of Magic these days. Hasn't played much in a long time. No worries, Braveheart. Timeouts aren't a big deal. Do you have a sweeper? Survey says. Demonic Pack with Enigmatic. That sounds sweet.
My grief fuels my mission.
The old lethal Jadelight trigger. Frustrating match against the Cat Oven deck, but I think most matches against that deck are pretty frustrating, which is one of the reasons why they banned it in Standard. Honestly, thinking about like what things people are playing in the format, I might just not want the Assassin trophies in the sideboard of this deck. They might be a little bit too much of a liability. Maybe I just want like a 4th Maelstrom Pulse and then like a 4th Maelstrom Pulse and like a 3rd Heartless Act or something like that. Trophy's been pretty meh. Hey, good games, Big Z. Good luck on the rest of your laddering today. Sure. Vito definitely gives this archetype an appropriate amount of reach in addition to its combo kill, which is nice. Aggro. Resubbing because I saw Baba is you is in the queue. Yeah, we're gonna keep doing some variety stuff after the open on the 16th. We're gonna go back to doing at least one variety segment per week. Thanks for the 12 months. I appreciate it. Hey, T-Rex. Glad you're enjoying the Runeterra stuff. That's definitely not going anywhere anytime soon either. That game's great. Probably just dead here. I think if we'd been on the play, we could have been okay here, but on the draw, we're almost assuredly going to be too slow. I wonder if instead of, like, Goblins has become slightly less popular. I wonder if instead of all these Witches' Vengeance, I want like some Cry of the Carnarium in my sideboard. That would also be a card that could come in against the cat decks. That would be pretty good. Maybe that's something to swap out. Consider swapping out. Revenge Revival is actually not particularly good here because our opponent's, generally speaking, going to have enough life that we aren't going to be able to kill them with it. Let's bring in Witch's Vengeance for now, just like an awkward removal spell. I'm going to retool some of the sideboard in this after this game. After this match. Nick Diaz, thanks for the 5 months. Welcome back. Hope you're staying safe out there. We have Languish as well. So, the reason to favor playing something like Cry over something like Languish is I'm a creature deck, remember? So if you look at a lot of my creatures, their stat lines don't die to Cry, but their stat lines do die to Languish. So Cry and Witch's Vengeance are sweepers that are more appealing for my creature mid-range deck to play because they're going to be one-sided frequently. So things like Languish and Ritual Assault are things I'm less inclined to want to reach for. I think Blue-Red Flash is already fairly competitive. Am I correct that the only way to get jumpstart cards in Arena is draft or wild cards? Correct, Snugglebear. It's incredibly obnoxious. So if they throw away a Soul Warden here, they get to make a 6/6. Just have to do that. Who else is glad to see Hobbit get back? I'm not entirely unconvinced they did Jumpstart the way they did just to make us feel happy to see other cards in booster packs. We are super duper dead. I think this matchup's probably pretty close to impossible. Their stuff is just way more efficient than ours, and our interaction is bad in this matchup, and our combo is bad because of the amount of life they gain. I don't think I'm changing the main deck. I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the sideboard. These trophies have been bad. Witch's Vengeance has been less good with less goblins around. Put a couple of cries with the Witch's Vengeance for a little bit of flexibility there. I'm going to go up a Heartless Act. I'm going to play a 4th Pulse because Pulse is just excellent. We're gonna hit 3 Goblin decks. I mean, to be fair, like, the change I just made there didn't make us that much worse against Goblins. Like, Cry only misses Krenko or when they have double Lord out. So it's pretty similar there. Which is why I think it's a good change. I think I'm starting with this to confirm what's up. I'm going to take their Scatter here because it's their most resource efficient card. If I leave them the Scatter, next turn they can go Mind Stone plus hold up Scatter, which isn't good. It's a pretty good draw. That one can stay right there. Coming for you, Azcanta. Settle my wreckage, Daddy. They don't have 2 white. Yeah, they do. They have Plains and Hollowed Fountain. I don't know, maybe this is kind of behind one of my adverts, so if you can't see that, that's why. I think saying blue-white control is strictly better post every ban is a stretch so much as it's just different. I don't think it's unplayable by any means, though. With the Castle Locthwain draw, I think I want to prioritize getting my hand empty, although they do have Field of Ruin. I'm just going to kill my castle, I suppose. How much do I have to spend on Runeterra to get a full collection? So to buy a full collection outright is about $150-ish per set. But honestly, if you're not someone that's like making content and needs it all right away, just like the amount of stuff you incidentally get just from playing is like a lot. So like if you're looking to get into it, my recommendation would be put it like $100 gets you the best ratio of coins, like in most of those games. Just like buy that and build 5 or 6 decks with $100, and then just like play to get the rest of it. The only reason I didn't wait was because I was taking deck submissions right away. And there's a lot of people that said they free to play to get basically the entire collection too. Oh, settle plus Teferi. Feels like hell, man. Feels like hell. I don't want to play the castle until I can activate it, because they have Field of Rune. How about having a Runeterra Hooglandia open? Yeah, the logistics of it are just too difficult. Without in-game tournament support or a website like MTG Melee, running tournaments on third-party websites like Smash just sucks. As someone who's played on a lot of Magic tournaments run on Smash.gg, like, it's just not a good experience. There's Magic tournaments on Smash. There have been in the past. I'm 3 weeks into Runeterra free to play, and I have a third of the champions and epics. Yep. Also, like that game, the epic cards, which are the equivalent to rares in Magic, aren't like rares in Magic, right? Like, look at this board state. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, it's not like epics are a majority of the cards people play, like in Magic. Yeah, in constructed magic is largely only rares. There's obviously, like, you know, actually there's a Mind Stone in play right now, Jeff. Yeah, sure. Technically there's a Mind Stone in play, but, like, effectively, constructed magic is all rares.
No time for a break.
Yeah, our whole Explore package is uncommon, right? And, like, this is such a double-edged sword, because it's like, well, I have Splinter Twin in my deck, chat. So, like, am I supposed to concede this game? I'm low percent to win, or am I supposed to, like, hang out because I could draw Vito, right? Is Jadelight Ranger a rare? Of course it is. Oh, Magic. Vito was tucked, but then I had to shuffle, so Vito's not anywhere near the top of our deck unless we're gonna get RNG'd it to the top. It's good beta counterspell if they have one.
time for a break.
This doesn't work, I'm gonna concede. I think I'm just chewing Wildgrowth Walker. You think? It'll be interesting to see. I think there's a good chance that when rotation happens, if standard seems reasonable, we focus on, we'll still play some historic, but we'll probably mostly focus on standard for Magic stuff, because historic's just going to be really inaccessible. Like, only heavily vested arena players or new people who are willing to spend an incredible amount of money are going to be able to get into historic because of the economic system that arena leverages. So I assume standard content will largely be more popular. Popular. Do 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 do. Just like real life Eternal formats. Yep. Yeah, the Enigmatic deck that's coming up next. Is Demonic Pact in AHK Remastered, or is that not till later? You hate being choked on rare wild cards, it's frustrating. I mean, if you're choked on rare wild cards, you just need to wail more. Real sea mammals are choked on mythic wild cards, chat. The leak says so. Okay, sweet. Just gotta give Papa Watsy more dollars. Yeah, like, obviously building budget decks will be easier than building non-budget decks to side. But, like, for example, an optimal Spirits deck, once Collected Company drops, is probably going to be Bant Spirits. And as soon as your deck goes from blue-white Spirits to Bant Spirits, suddenly your deck now goes from 8 to 10 mana-based dual lands to 25, right? Like, you suddenly need 25 rares to build a 3-color mana base? It's rough. I guess I'm just doing this. Well, I mean, and so for people that have played Magic for a long time, you have to understand that formats like Historic being inaccessible to new players, that's a feature, it's not a bug. That is everything, that's everything working as intended. Wizards onboarding to Magic is standard. They want standard to be the format people prefer to play because standard generates repeat customers. Similar to, you know, how Modern and Pioneer and even Legacy to a degree work. While Historic will be more expensive to get into initially for people, those people will also just get to take their one deck and sit on it forever as well, right? I'm gonna run in and fill my water bottle real quick.
Let's skip to the good part.
No, you don't concede till they counter the Maelstrom Pulse. See, chat, blue-white control, just as soul-sucking even without Teferi. That being said, like, I think that type of deck is the exceptionally bad matchup for this. Our individual card quality, so card quality decks like this just aren't good against just the slew of card advantage that those opponents are able to generate. And the fact that our deck plays to the board makes us pretty mediocre against sweepers. And then, unlike the ramp sweeper decks, control decks like that blue-white control deck also have access to counter spells, which makes our combo kill not good enough, right? Like, for example, if our opponent hadn't had infinite counter spells in the first game, they would have died to Vito plus Revenge, right? So I think this deck is fine. I think if you're going to play it, you have to accept that you're going to lose to most counterspell based control decks. Hey, Storl, have fun making people miserable with your blue-white deck. Good luck in your laddering today. I think this deck is as good as mid-range decks kind of can get against ramp. I think it's very reasonable against aggro. I think once we can take these Agonizing Remorses and drag them down on the curve to be Thought Seizes, it'll get a little bit better. No, Sanguine Bond is not good against control. That card's god-awful against control. Against control, you need individually powerful cards and cards that generate card advantage, not 5-mana enchantments that don't do anything on their own. We talked about Sanguine Bond, or whatever that other card is, Exquisite Blood. I think you mean Exquisite Blood. We talked about Exquisite Blood in the sideboard for the ramp matchups, but I don't actually think you need it. I think as constructed, we're pretty okay against the ramp decks. All right, at any rate, we are going to roll on to, speaking of making people miserable with control decks, we're going to roll on to some 4-color Enigmatic here. First time playing this since Teferi was banned. I'm going to have a quick ad roll while I get set up and flipped over. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere. What about Teferi's old Nemesis card in Shire? They just have a ton of sweepers.